So thank you everybody for your patience. Right now we have two guests presenting the next presentation, which is Oksana and Mitya. Oksana and Mitya from Gosh, and also Oksana is working on Jocelyn DAO, which is based on Gosh. Gosh is GitHub open source holder. You're going to find all out about it, and I'm going to pass over now to Oksana.
Thank you very much. So I have maybe not so big passion to argue about AI alignment, but we will talk a lot about some trash. I love this word actually in a modern scientific world, and I'm very sorry that there is so small amount of people here. But I think that this is a good thing as well, because we have an opportunity to familiarize ourselves with one another and know each other very good and collaborate and partner. So please use this opportunity. I'm Oksana, and here you can see Mitya. He's a founder of blockchain, and over this blockchain, I founded the decentralized autonomous organization called Jocelyn. And I understood that there was a confusion about a viral picture. Actually, you meant this one, yes? Viral picture. Yeah, it's not mine. It's also Jocelyn, but it's another Jocelyn. Our Jocelyn is Jocelyn Bell Barnell, that is living in Northern Ireland, and she is astrophysicist who was denied from Nobel Prize in 1974 by her theory because of she's a woman, but maybe not. But afterwards, she didn't get this Nobel Prize yet, till this moment, and she launched actually a foundation for leveraging opportunities for women in physics and mathematics that are in Northern Ireland in England. So, kind of, think about who is Jocelyn and what she is doing here. So, yes. And what about GitHub open source hodler accept of that is about GitHub on chain? Actually, it is about giving an inventors a right not to pay for their inventory, because it's very important to give them freedom to create for free. And this is the main point of Gosh, I think, and this is the main point why I came here. And this is a couple of strings from poem Equality of Maya Angelou. You declare you see me dimly, through a glass which will not shine. Though I stand before you boldly, trim and drunk, and marking time. And so I will propose that Gosh, oh my gosh, is the first blockchain created primarily for the fully open source usage by individuals, and these individuals for our blockchain are particularly developers and researchers. So inventors are not paying for their right to invent. It's very important. Gosh is the first massive and free of charge blockchain use case of Git ontology on chain, as we clarified a couple of moments ago. And also, Gosh is the first blockchain purpose-built for securing the software supply chain and extracting the value locked in open source. And in this moment, I will share the microphone with the founder to explain what the numbers we see.
Yeah, I'll be quite quick, so not to take your attention too much. So, yeah, I was CTO of Everix, which is technology company behind what was called free-to-own blockchain, and we developed this massively kind of scalable, throughput, intensive blockchain. And one of the investors came to me and said, what do you think? Like Docker is launching a security product, a Docker desktop, and they ask, can you do something about fixing, like can blockchain help fixing software supply chain issues, security issues? And I thought about that, and I came back and I said, yeah, I think yes, but we need to start from the very source, which is the source code. And so what we did, and we launched that 12th of May last year. We were one of the launching partners with Docker desktop, one of the 13 companies. And what we did, we created a Git on chain implementation, which is a true implementation of Git. Meaning, when you think of Git on chain, the first thing you think about is, okay, there is a kind of Ethereum network, which of course has limitations in what you can put there, throughput. So let's put us some hashes of something from the Git repository, and by that, proving that the repository is correct of a sort, right? So we thought that is not the way to do it, because you cannot build on top of that. Okay, you have some hashes, you prove something, but first you have data availability problem, because what if the real source code that you put somewhere just disappeared? So you have hash, but you don't have data, so data availability is a problem. Second problem is that you cannot really build on top of these hashes, because hashes is not a data, so you cannot look into the data on chain, right? You can look only on some metadata, maybe, if you put it there, and on the hash. That's not enough. So what we actually did in implementing Gosh is that we take all the objects, including the source itself, and put it on chain. Not only that, we also we modified the virtual machine, which is Ton Virtual Machine, TVM, to have a diff instruction. So we're actually applying diffs, the commits on chain. So not only we're storing code on chain, but we also store like the whole history of objects and the history of diffs on chain. Now that, of course, to the question of why we actually had to start our own blockchain, there are two reasons for that. One is that, actually, that we, like 30 million objects that we put on chain we're storing, actually, there are also many millions, like dozens of, if not hundreds of millions of objects that we processed. There is no single blockchain today in existence that can do that. That's one thing. Another thing, we thought, if you want to create kind of Git on chain, which is basically GitHub on chain, okay? You cannot compete, and basically nobody will use it if you would need to pay for every transaction and every commit. I mean, that's crazy, right? Not a single person would use it. So we had to create a blockchain, which we call it fucked up blockchain, because people don't pay gas. We're crediting all the gas, and don't ask me how validators making money. I don't want to go into that. There is a whole thing we had to create to actually allow that. But and again, I don't want to discuss that. But there are actually, like, in our blog, which is blog.gosh.sh, you can find all sorts of explanation of how that's all built. We don't yet fully kind of have that model working yet, because there's too much stuff to do. So we first concentrated on the use cases. Now, so we have this blockchain where you can, for free, deploy your repositories. It will be put on chain. All the diffs of your repository, history of your repository will be on chain. Okay, fine. So we use that as a basis of the kind of security guarantees. Because of the blockchain, blockchain is the only known in computer science solution for time-stamped history, right? Objectively time-stamped history. So we can actually use that as a foundation level for kind of security, some security assumptions we can make based on that, and use the security assumption in actually securing the further what you do with your code, which is deploying it. And year passed, we're actually next week releasing the tool which is called AnyTree, and AnyTree is a delivery solution based on Gosh. So that is actually the solution that completely, maybe not the right word for security, but let's say as much as we can, securing what's happening of your software from the point you write it and commit it to the point of you delivering it to the final user. And that solution supports any kind of packaging. You can take your NPN package, which we know that has a huge amount of security holes. You can actually securing without changing this delivery method, which is npm package, you don't need to create any other kind of delivery mechanism. You don't need to create other packaging, for example, which will take care of security somehow. You don't, like what, for example, every other package tries to do now, like, for example, Snap, which kind of isolating everyone has this different kind of approach to trying to secure what kind of, how you deliver the software. But we don't need to do that. We can, and that's one of the reasons we did it, actually. So you can take on a package, you basically build it with this AnyTree tool, and by the end of that, you get the NPM package, which you can distribute safely, because you know that nothing, absolutely nothing happened from the point you put a commit on chain to the point that you deliver this to the end user. Now we can actually verifiably prove all that. I'm not going to detail how. So that's one thing. Another thing is that because we have decentralized this decentralized Git, now of course another point that we thought, okay, how you managing your code is also important subject. And of course, how you should manage open source repository, we believe, is through DAO. So every time you create repository on Gosh, it automatically creates DAO. And this like organization now manages your code, you want it or not. And the only thing you can change is kind of how strictly you want to apply these decisions to what you do with your code. So for example, you can create a protected branch. If you create a protected branch, then you will need to vote for this, merge into this branch with all the, like, your DAO members. In order to do that practically, because one of the, of course, big problems in DAOs is participation and voting, right? So like, it's hard to get all people to vote, basically. So we optimized for that with soft majority voting. And that's last thing I'm going to say. So soft majority voting is a special voting mechanism which is implemented in Gosh, where if it's kind of a progressive scale, where if nobody votes no, not all the votes need to be counted until certain time. So for example, if within a week you had 10% of only yes votes, then it will pass. Because we believe that, and that's of course solves this participation problem, because we believe that if someone would want to say no, he would already do that. And then if someone has say no, then it goes up and up and up, depends on the proportion of the votes, up to the 51%, if you have 50-50 kind of votes. That's all.
Great, thank you. We will archive your speech in the internet. So, yes, it's a kind of interface when you are entering in Gosh, and when you are signed up actually, and you can see the organization that you launched. They are all DAOs by design. And one of them is Jocelyn. It's my account. And we have Jocelyn DAO, as I said before, and this is our landing page. You can submit a project, you can share expertise, you can become a sponsor, and so on and so forth, and you can join our community. This is a button with one-time generated link that will onboard you directly to the DAO. And at this point, I will add that we not only, of course, build products, and of course, we not only created landing pages and did marketing stuff, but also we spoke a lot with scientists. And this is very important thing that I wanted to emphasize today, that actually scientists are not, they don't need actually your incentivization, distribution, and permanence. They want to be understood, they want to be heard, and they want to share with their needs and pains. And that's why we have ongoing interviewing of a global community of scientists. Every week we have some amount of scientists from different countries that we are interviewing, and all of the transcripts we have. Based on them, we creating media materials for them. And based on that, we are understanding how to improve our open source project for them. And actually, what we have here, this is based on their needs. This is kind of interface inside DAO. You can see their invitation phrase in top of. And it's kind of, you can see intuitively, kind of GitHub interface. It's not, it's just Git open source ontology on chain, as we said before, so that's why. And as I said before, while we interviewing their scientists, we in that way we started from scaling the impact of the individual researchers actually, from any single researcher we interviewed. So it's very important part of our work is communication, science communication part. We, as I said before, continue interviewing scientists globally to validate their needs and pains, and we finally figured out what the most big problem in 2022-2023. It's a population of scientists at risk. Scientists at risk, there are people who are displaced from their countries because of the war, because of relocation, because they are against the war or regime in the country, and they have no citizenship. They have refugee status in Europe, in Israel, in USA, and they have no opportunity to be affiliated fast. But they want to continue their research, and they became our focus group. That's why, because they have the less opportunities to be under scope of any entities in any country and globally. That's why we are concentrating now on them. And for them to leverage their opportunities and to scale their impact of them individually, we created open source tools for them in order to transform their bad research practices to good research practices. And I mean here not just study design. That is very important, and of course we will conduct study designs review, and also we have some solutions for that. But more important that we have verification of reproducibility of research code, and we created some kind of environment that will deliver their code securely and will ensure the enterprise or industry that this code will not be dangerous for enterprise. So it's kind of first thing. And the second thing is verification of data sets for particular study designs. We know now that for training of AI models, it's very important to get a proper data set. And it's a kind of the target that we chose for this as well. We will verify their data sets for particular study designs they want to conduct. And after that, they will be in some kind of QE to grant system, our grant system, regardless of their affiliation, number of publications, gender, color of their skin, previous place of living, and so on and so forth. And what else? Partnerships. We relentlessly building different partnerships globally in order to explore different use cases appearing in science. And actually, as we mentioned earlier, we have one use case, excellent use case from healthcare industry to zero-K knowledge ML. So it's a kind of our power use cases. And we also invented some kind of reputation for scientists. we have special entity, special token, commit fungible token that is based on their commitments in Gosh. That's why we can account their reputation. So it's some important things that we have for scientists at risk that want to leverage their scientific process and improve their skills in programming and partnerships and funding maybe. And also we are working very intensively on, as we discussed earlier, on security of supply of open source software supply chains. And recently we arranged a working group call with researchers from different countries. With Jelani, you know them, him. From Canada, with Yuri from USA, from Serbia, actually he in Israel, from Germany, and it was a great live stream to social networks about how to establish good research code practices for its reproducibility and security. And it was initiated by Government Blockchain Association in USA. And we decided to create some kind of declaration of good research code practices and datasets verification practices as follow-up document after these working groups. And we will actually write this document and correct this document on our blockchain in Jocelyn DAO. It will be mutable. All discussions will be not deleted ever. So you will have archived creation of document with research code practices and security based on their all live streams that we will have. So if you want to join actually and participate in creation of such a document, and you should be aware that all your words will be accounted. So you can join our Telegram chat about this document and join Jocelyn after that. It's our fabulous team, not all the team. And you can see Andrei Lashin, he's also a scientist. And many people are absent here because it's impossible to maybe try to do it longer. And on this slide we will have many words join because we want to arrange people to help scientists at risk and actually create for free their own DAOs on Gosh, as we discussed with Mitya that actually not only repositories are DAOs on Gosh. Actually, your account, you are DAO on Gosh. You can invite someone to your account, to you, to share your values and vote for them. And of course, Jocelyn DAO to progress your own study if you want. Now we have actually 3 tractions, all of them with Ukrainian scientists inside Ukraine and outside Ukraine. In cybersecurity research area, in health sciences, in agriculture, and in more general computational science. So we have several tractions, and you will launch actually your own traction there. So you are welcome. And support our work with scientists at risk. You also welcome. So thank you very much. It's the end of my report, and after that, if you want to familiarize yourself with interface inside DAO, you can just, see it.